Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, lovers, and friends, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Jim Fogarty. We are coming to you from Dave Grohl Alley. We're actually coming to you from Two Ticks and the Dog Productions, which is up above Dave Grohl Alley. And I've got a killer guest today. Been friends with him since we were 12 years old. And man, he's got a lot of cool things happening in his life now. A lot of accolades and a lot of upcoming success and, of course, past success, what we're going to talk about. But before we get to that, real quick, want to throw shouts outs to our sponsors and thank them, sponsors of Season 4 of The Prod, the Station Square Restaurant, Modern Methods Brewery, Salvatore's Italian Grill, Prosperity Partners, and Brokers Realty. Appreciate you guys for believing in the podcast and allowing us to bring great guests on. My guest today is I might not get all the years correct. My guest today is a 1991 state champion, a 1997 national champion, and a 2020 high school Division II state champion.
1994.
1994. You were on that national championship too. You won 2 national championships then? Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot that. That's right. I keep thinking because we graduated in 94. That was our senior year. Mm-hmm. Anyways, if you haven't guessed this by now, you can obviously see him on, if you're watching this on YouTube. Mr. Matt Richardson, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, brother.
I appreciate it. We've been talking about getting together and talking about football and talking about coaching and talking about high school athletics and all that great stuff for a while now. And then just recently, the head football coaching position came up at Harding High School, and Matt is now the new Harding Raiders football coach. Congratulations. I know I've already said that to you, but
I appreciate it.
For the show.
Definitely, I appreciate it.
Yeah. What was that like, man, getting that call?
Just an honor. Anytime you're put in charge of something, it comes with happiness, but there's a responsibility that goes along with it.
Anxiety? You got trepidation?
No anxiety. Just really ready to get to work. The kids have been working hard, and that's really just what I've been focusing on.
You guys are already I see videos. You're in the weight room.
So
you guys are
we're in the weight room 3 days a week right now for about an hour and a half right now. So and then the basketball players just joined us. Their season finished up. They had a pretty good season, and they came once they had their last meeting. They were there the next day.
How many basketball players you guys get over?
There's quite a few. I'm not sure the number. There's quite a few kids that do dual sports, which is nice.
Big team? You guys gonna have good numbers this year in terms of total kids?
We've had, not counting the winter sports and the spring sports, we've had anywhere from 50 to 80 in there. So I figure we'll be somewhere squeezed in between there.
Holy smoke, that's a lot of kids, man.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
great.
No, definitely. The more the merrier.
Yeah, right.
Definitely take them.
Better pickings for the talents. You, of course, you started as a baseball player because we weren't allowed to play football, I think, back then until, well, I guess we're allowed, but we didn't play until seventh grade. Yeah, yep. Right. Mm-hmm. Grew up on the west side of Warren. Older brother Todd, with your parents, grew up close to our dear friend Eric Murphy in the same neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And he told me a story today, which is kind of makes a lot of sense for the type of mentality that a champion and someone who's highly competitive has. He told me you guys would ride share, to go play baseball, and he'd be like, we'd go and we'd play, and when we got to Pony League, we'd beat everybody. We had a great team. He said, but we would ride share, and Matt would go 3 for 4, hit 2 home runs. The game would be over. He'd be in the back seat pouting because he didn't hit 3 home runs and didn't hit 4 for 4, and I was just off doing, onto other things. Where does that come from, man? Where's that competitiveness come from?
Just wanting to be the best, competing with my brother, competing with my cousin, always trying to catch them. It just always went with me, and my goal was to try to catch them and get past them. So going 4 for 4 was something that I would always strive for.
That's like the little brother syndrome.
Sure. There's no doubt. No doubt.
So we were talking before the show, for Prouders out there, Matt and I not only played football together for Coach Tony Napolet. Matt played 6 years for Coach Napolet, 7th through 12th grade.
Yep.
I played 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And so anyways, we've been friends since 6th grade. And then I'm trying to think of the year, but about almost 20 years ago, I ended up looking at this house, and there was a for sold sign in the house in the yard next door. And my Uncle Bill Masucci, what's up? Shout out Uncle Billy. We're going to have him on, actually. We'll do that maybe a different show, talk about education.
Absolutely.
But he said, I said, man, this is a really nice house, you know? And he goes, yeah. He goes, well, I said, he goes, you know who's next door? Your buddy lives next door. He just bought the house next door. I go, who? He said, Matt Richardson. I go, oh, put an offer on the house. Because, you know, a lot of times you can't pick your neighbors, right. but when one of your good friends is living next door, you know, it kind of makes it easier. So I had the privilege of living next door to Matt for 14 years. His wife, Janelle, his daughter, Justice, his daughter, Jayla, his son, Matthew. And so we were just talking about this beforehand, because Matt is a very accomplished basketball and football player. And I would see him, I was telling Murph this today, I said, it makes sense that Matt was like that as a kid, because Matt and I didn't grow up together. But I said, it would make sense that he would be pouting when he, you know, if he didn't hit 4 for 4, because I literally would see Matt every day in the driveway shooting hoops every day. And
still
then,
today.
Yeah. And then if sometimes we would play, I kind of tease like, man, it's a good thing I live next door, because I play one-on-one with him sometimes. But he would play games, and if he didn't win, he was upset.
Still the same.
And I was telling Murph, I go, he definitely gets that from his dad.
Definitely.
So 7th grade football, man. What made you go out for the team? Todd didn't play.
Didn't play. Played maybe a little bit. I mean, we all play backyard football,
sure,
stuff like that, but never anything competitively. My mom was on that "you're not playing until 7th grade" thing, and he loved baseball, so he was into baseball. And then when I came up, I kind of just went to practice, and then told her that I was actually playing football.
What? She didn't know?
Nah, she didn't know. It was
what did she think you were doing?
You know, just something after school. And then I told her, oh, no, I wouldn't try it out for football. So it was kind of, I was already in there. And then anybody that meets Coach Knapp, you know, then it's over here. I'm in.
It was on.
I'm in.
Coach Knapp is one of those dudes that I still to this day, and I played 3 years for him, and I had, you know, tons of different coaches growing up. Had some really good soccer coaches. But Coach Knapp is by far my favorite coach of any sport, you know, throughout my athletic career. How was that, you know, what was the thing that drew you to football? And then, like, once you got there, because it wasn't easy, right? We were the 7th graders, and we practiced every day against the 8th graders.
Who were
they were savages.
They were a great team, undefeated in
the 8th grade year. You know, you had guys like Jason Dibble and Chris Urchek and Tom Palucci and Dan Boych. I mean, we just keep naming names. I mean, it's not even like I'm just tip of the iceberg. And we used to get the shit kicked out of us. I mean, maybe not as I got the shit kicked out of me every day. I hated some of those dudes. Boych and I, we were on the road, you know, a year ago working on a project, and we're sitting in a bar after, you know, drinking. I go, you know, dude, I used to hate you, man. I said, it wasn't anything personal.
Right.
I just hated playing football against you because you were a savage. And same thing with Urch and same thing, all those guys. What did you love about it? What drew you to it?
Curiosity, you know. You play a lot of backyard football with friends, cousins, all that stuff, and then just seeing if you could do it for real, you know. And then, you know, once I started playing, I just loved the game. And I, you know, like I said, anybody, Coach Knapp, if you get with Coach Knapp, he's going to hook, line, and sinker. You're in. So.
Look around you. You want this guy in the foxhole with you?
Foxhole guys.
Foxhole
to
speech,
this day.
Man.
I only want foxhole guys around me to this day because of Coach Knapp.
100%. What did you love about it? But what were there things that you didn't like about it? Was there ever a time where you like, this isn't for me?
No, not really. Even at that time, I was still a baseball guy. I was just something else to do. Like, it was offered, so I played. No different than basketball. Just the next thing to do, whatever season it was, you were doing it then. But I was still fixed in on baseball.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you played basketball.
Yeah, but I had played baseball more. So, the thing that you do more, you kind of draw to more, more.
Yeah.
And also, baseball was something that you could actually do outside of the playing field, whereas football, it's kind of, you need 22 guys, you need pads, you need.
Yeah.
So.
I can still remember. So Matt and I both started out on the offensive line. You started out as a guard.
D-line,
yeah, same here. And then at one point, I was still on the, you look at me and look at Matt.
Yeah.
I was playing guard, and Matt was playing running back. And I was not a very good guard. I was not a very good offense. I was decent on defense, but I can remember Matt coming through the hole. Like, you run like 1 hole, 2 hole, and obviously 2 hole, I think I played right guard. And I can remember cleat marks up my back. And I'm like, yo, man, you're stepping on my leg. He goes, block the guy in front of you. Get out of the way.
Yeah.
Matt was one of those guys that had like massive heart, massive work ethic, always on go on the field, and a great teammate, and was probably one of Knapp's favorite players out of our class.
Mm-hmm.
Then to go to high school, and then because at that time Coach Zolchek was still the head coach,
head coach.
And then Zolchek left, and Coach Knapp became our head football coach at JFK.
Zolchek took the Twinsburg job.
Yep.
And then Coach Knapp ended up taking over coming back to JFK because he was the head coach prior to that.
Yeah.
And then came back.
Yeah. And then that year, our sophomore year, you guys win a state title.
Mm-hmm.
All those guys I mentioned, along with Tony Antonini and McNeil and Joe Zabik and Brian Gillen and all those guys. How special was that to you, and how did that really set the stage for, like, once you guys won that and then you continued to excel? Obviously, we went to the state playoff game again our junior year.
Right.
The class ahead of us is senior year. And that was really the year, man. I mean, those guys like, Dibble, and I mean, we had
really good team.
Kenny Bright. I mean, Tommy Gillen. We were stacked, man. And we came up short. And then we went to the playoffs again our senior year. But did you know, like, this is something I want to do after high school, or was that something you were aiming for?
I just playing in high school. When you're a kid, you're just playing. So like the sophomore year. That we ended up winning it. We were actually on the bus. We just lost to Poland, finished 7-3. We're on the bus home. Back then, they only took top 4 teams. So we thought our season was over, but everything that needed to happen happened. And so we ended up making the playoffs to get a rematch with Campbell Memorial. And then we made a couple adjustments to what we did the first time we played. The first time we played them, they blew us out. Then the second time we came out and blew them out. And then that just put us on a roll to end up winning state. And then, once you get the taste of winning it once, that's, you want it again and again and again,
Lenten time or anytime, Station Square Seafood is delivered daily and always prepared fresh every time. And now to go with your salmon, swordfish, or any favorite dish, Station Square's small batch signature seasonings: lemon pepper, Cajun, or charcoal steak rub.
Let Salvatore's Howland host your special event in their new banquet facility. Up to 150 guests will enjoy a metropolitan vibe, full-service bar, and customized menu. Call 330-609-7777 or visit salvatoreshowland.com.
With that buzz of select Brazilian Dolce coffee beans, that brew Ipanema's seductively sweet beach coffee, they mingle a flawless measure of their crisp Darlene lager. Somehow, somewhere in a secret lab with modern methods, they blend the perfectly balanced, light, uplifting, gold medal winning brew known as the Percolator. Available at Modern Methods Tap Room or the new Darlene Lounge on Courthouse Square in downtown Warren.
Did you know at that time, or did you know shortly thereafter, like it was something you wanted to do, post high school?
I wanted to do something because, like I said, I was baseball too. So baseball meant just.
And you were a good
to me as
baseball
football.
player.
Yeah. Baseball was just as meant just as much to me. And but then it just got to the point as the years went on, everybody just assumed I wanted to play football. But I actually, I actually would have done either one, but I felt like I was just as good at either one. I ended up being all-state in both. So
yeah. Matt was our voted most athletic of our 94 class. So, you go on to Youngstown State, and we'll get into all that stuff too, but like, did you know at that time or shortly there, like when did you think long term, I might want to be a coach one day?
My relationship with Coach Knapp and how I felt about Coach Knapp, I wanted to do things for kids that he was doing for kids. And Coach Tressel always talked about making a positive impact on society, however you could do it. And I just felt like that was a way that I could do it, giving back to Coach. So that's kind of how I went into the coaching mode.
Well, it's wild because we had I had Joe Keneally on, the president of JFK, and we were talking about this idea of like altruism and giving back to our communities and how that's kind of ingrained in our I think even probably from middle school too.
Right.
I don't think we had service back then, but it was always like, you're bringing canned goods in,
you got to do
spending,
something.
you got to do something, you got to give back. So obviously, man, coaching is such like a big part of that, especially for kids that sometimes don't have, they may not have a father figure or they may not have a father at home, and then they've got this mentor that, it's a big responsibility. You're really molding these kids and helping mold them into not even just, yes, in their athletic career, but you're setting them up for life lessons.
No question.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Just setting them up to be able to handle situations they're going to have to deal with when they become that adult, when that adulthood hits. And you got to do some things that you might not want to have to do, but you got to do it, to take care of the family,
Well, you had great examples. Obviously, Coach Tony Napolet, to have that as your first coach of football, man, like what a blessing.
I was telling somebody the other day, I can remember going into his office and him saying, hey, I need you to go to Dunkin' Donuts for me. Here's $20. Just get me one donut. You keep the change. Keep it moving. That's just how he was.
Yeah.
Great
dude, man.
Definitely.
He would take us to like if you were a player of the game, you'd go to Leo's. Mm-hmm. I remember one time we went to we went to like ITAM 30 up above ITAM eating spaghetti dinner,
I remember that. Having Coach DeGiacomo.
Yep. So, and I want to circle back at some point to talk about like Lee and Rick and Marky Powers and those guys, but I really want to you've had such you were surrounded by such great mentors. Tony Napolet, Jim Tressel then at YSU. Then you went on to coach with Tom McDaniels. You went on to coach with Jim McQuaid, and you went on to coach with Tim Terrell. Tim Terrell. And so, and won at every level. High school state championship, two national championships, 94, 97 with YSU, and then on to coach at Hoban where you won a state title. So what was that like to be surrounded by those guys, and were there pieces that you extracted from each one of those guys that you hope to bring to Harding? Like, what are those pieces? What are the things you learned from like Knapp and Tressel and all those other guys?
Just wanting to be like Coach Knapp, and always, the field is the field, but Coach Knapp always made sure his players were good off the field. So that was one thing I definitely took away from him. The one thing that anybody tell you that about Coach Knapp is his players will run through a wall for him.
Yep.
So that definitely took that away from him. Coach Tressel just helped me grow up, transition from boy to man. Someone asked me the other day, how come you didn't go anywhere else? Why'd you just talk to Coach Tressel? You talk to Coach Tressel for 5 minutes, you're in. That's just, he's everything, and then some, beyond that. I don't know how else to put it, but you just got to know when you talk to him that you're going to, follow suit and do what he says, and everything usually works out. My foundation of coaching is from Tom McDaniels. Very close with Coach McDaniels. Wouldn't be where I am without Coach McDaniels. He is my foundation coaching-wise. I still talk to him. If it's not every week, it's every couple of weeks. He was checking in with him. So I am a Tom McDaniels disciple coaching-wise. So anything you see from me, he's probably done or I learned from him. Jim McQuaid helped me transition, and I became a coordinator with Coach Jim McQuaid. Taught me how to make a game plan, be in charge of multiple groups and do different things. Wouldn't be where I am without him. Had a lot of success with him. He's actually the guy to pull me from Warren to, hey, come somewhere else, do something else somewhere else, and then go from there. And then me and Tim Terrell played together at YSU, so that was almost like just, a reunion, coming back with a great friend that hadn't been around in years. Really just learned a different way from him. He did things a little bit different than I'm accustomed to, and he, was very successful. So I feel like getting all those different pieces, I can kind of make my own way.
Yeah, that's interesting because I was thinking about that, right? He was a tight end at YSU, very good tight end.
Tight end at YSU. I'm fullback at YSU. A lot of communication between me and him during plays, what we're going to do here, just a lot of hands, a lot of different things. Me and Tim did at YSU together. Hung out a little bit after, as well, so coming full circle and being back with him was probably some of the funnest 4 years that I had. With him. I always appreciate him reaching out and saying, hey, you want to come coach? Because I had a blast. Love all those guys on that staff.
And you coached a Mr. Football?
Coached Mr. Football in 2002, Maurice Claret.
Right.
And then ended up coaching Mr. Football again 2022 season, Lamar Sperling.
Two running backs, and you were the running back coach.
Yeah, and probably the only one that's coached two Mr. Footballs, unless they coach someone that won it twice. Yeah.
That's pretty wild. What is the secret sauce, man? What's like the secret success there? I mean, obviously
it's all about them.
Yeah, I was gonna say obviously Maurice Claret and Sperling are like
nothing to do with me other than giving them little bits of information. They're too talented football players, and most are. Coach, you just kind of get out of the way, give them a couple. Hey, make sure you do this, and do that, and then let their athleticism take over for themselves.
Well, coaching with Tim Terrell, that's got to be somewhat different, though, right? Because it's like you guys are peers. Knapp was obviously, I don't know how old Knapp was when we were playing football for him, but Knapp was older than us. Jim McQuaid had been around a long time. McDaniels had been around, And then now you're coaching with a guy who's in your peer group.
We're peers, but he's been a head coach for multiple years. So we're peers, but we're different. He's earned every stripe that he had, so it was, what do you want me to do? How can I help? It was not one of those deals where, I'm coming in trying to change anything. If anything, I'm just trying to learn from him.
Do you ever, that's obviously one of those things where it's like people are like, hey, you can come in, everybody check your ego at the door, right? Mm-hmm. Is that something you consciously think about? I got to check my ego at the door because this guy's he's got it on lock. You just kind of, that's your approach.
No, I just kind of, again, I'm a Tom McDaniels guy. You be the best at the job that you have. The job that you have, you be the best at that. Other things will come. So whatever the head coach needs, that's what I'm going to do. So that's what I did for him. That was my relationship with him. Besides friendship and everything else, I want to do, can help you continue your success. and he was successful before I got there. He's going to be even more successful, now that I'm gone, definitely.
Probably a little piece will be missing though.
Oh, that's always.
The Matty Rich piece will be missing a little bit. Yeah,
that's always. But I mean, he won before Matty Rich.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I expect him to continue to do the same thing. I just want to, win with him. Be in that conversation with him. That would be success for me. When
you left JFK, obviously, I don't want to call those years like. Look, JFK's got a great program. They had great programs before. They've had great programs since. I don't want to say it was a dynasty because but there was a feeling of that. JFK was one of the best teams in Northeast Ohio at D4.
Yes.
So you leave JFK and you're big man on campus. You're Matty Rich. You won. You were an all-state football player as a running back and a linebacker. And then you went and played baseball. You were all-state there. Popular guy. We used to come to your house and party all the time. Man. We had some good times. Had a lot of good times over there. And then you get to YSU, and you're
starting over.
You're starting over, and it's not like. And you're talking about the guy had asked you about what made you want to stay at YSU and not go for? YSU was a dynasty.
They were
already, right? They had won 91.
They had won 91 and 93.
And 93.
Lost in 92. So they had been to 3.
Yeah. And then again in 94.
94, that team, those seniors had already been to the championship multiple times. So it was an unbelievable class, one of the better classes that I've ever been around.
What were those expectations like? Because you're coming from JFK, like this small Catholic school, to like big bad YSU. You're playing
So the expectation for a guy like me during that year was do whatever you can do to help the team win. So that was playing scout team, doing whatever they asked, things like that, just kind of falling in line with how things operated at Youngstown, because it was a machine. You just had to do what your job was, the ultimate team thing, the role that some guys might not take on, so I was a scout team guy. There was multiple guys that were scout team guys, but we knew that we were doing the things that were needed to help that team. That team went undefeated, we definitely helped that team go undefeated.
I was telling you, I was watching that Alcorn State game.
Steve McNair, 580 yards.
And Steve McNair
passing.
came in. He was a Heisman Trophy hopeful. He was in the conversation certainly. And you had guys like Sean Patton and
Sean Patton, Mark
Brungard, Boykin,
Leon
Reggie
Jones,
Lee.
Andre Jethro.
There's the conversation piece too. Like, here's two guys, that you grew up with, in Tom Palucci and then Andre Jethro.
Tim Panazzo.
Jim Panazzo was there?
Jim Panazzo.
I forgot about Jim
team.
Panazzo.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No kidding. I don't know why I forgot that. But those guys, and Panazzo was older than us. He was a senior when we were freshmen.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I got a Jim Panazzo story I'll tell you off camera. If it wasn't for Jeff Barrickman, I'd probably be, I'd probably have one less ear or one less arm. Panazzo was a tough dude. But, to have two guys that you won a state title with, and then you turn around and win 2 national championships with Paluch and with Dre. And those guys have key moments in that game, right? Dre tips a pass that gets picked off, guy runs 90-something yards, and then Paluch put a smack on a dude, guy fumbled the ball.
Right.
Big key moments. How special was that to have those two guys and Panazzo, who I've forgotten about, but to have peer guys, your peer group, guys from your high school, now you're all on the same college team, and you're doing the same thing. You won at the high school level, now you're winning national championships.
It's nice because you see them do it, and it just gives you a glimmer of hope that you can do it if you do what you're supposed to do too. But it was, a blessing to be around those guys, watch those guys compete, learn from those guys, and like I said, it's a machine. They were, they're 2 of many, 3 of many. There were a lot of guys, a lot of successful guys on that team, and led by Coach Tressel. Like I said, Coach Tressel has a lot of soldiers.
How and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is how I remember it. Wasn't Dre's senior year was the first year he ever played football?
In high school?
Yeah.
No, his sophomore year was the first year.
Oh, he started
he
his
played
sophomore year.
football.
Okay.
And he started his sophomore year. Started for 3 years.
Okay, that's what it was.
A phenomenal football player, then went to YSU, started from day one there too.
But, like, not a guy that played, like, Pee-wee, didn't play, middle school.
No.
It was like all of a sudden, man.
No, just went. He actually went out for the football team because Mr. Gillen told him, you ain't playing basketball. He was the manager. He's like, you need to go out for football. So he ended up going out for football.
And smashed dudes.
And was very successful.
Had some of the baddest hits on dudes that I saw at the high school level.
Definitely.
Here's a trivia question. I know you're already cheating on it, though, because we talked about it earlier.
I probably forgot. I'm old.
So the coach of Alcorn State, his name was...
Oh, I do remember now. Cardell Jones.
It was Cardell Jones,
Yeah.
like the Ohio State quarterback. Cardell
not
Jones.
the Ohio State
Not the
quarterback.
Ohio State,
Yeah.
but they had the same name.
Right.
Not related. I don't believe.
No, not
yeah,
related.
Not related.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I only found that out because, like I said, I was watching.
Right.
I started watching these old games. Tim McNair and Steve McNair. Tim McNair
Yes.
was the wide receiver,
Yes.
right? And Tim McNair was the quarterback. So kind of playing with your brother, man, that's like special stuff.
I'm sure.
And then to be playing brothers from another, Dre and Paluch, like, what was that like on the field? And you guys all played defense. Well, no, you played fullback.
Yeah,
That's
I ended
right.
up moving to offense.
You went there as a linebacker.
Yeah, and then got moved to
you
fullback.
got moved. And
Yep.
then Dre played nose guard.
So he went there as a linebacker, and they moved him back to nose guard. You know, and then Palucci went there, started. He might have been a couple days at running back, but then went to corner, then played safety, and then ended up being a linebacker.
Oh, that's right.
Yep, ended up being a linebacker. So it was funny. It's funny because as tight as we were, once we were all playing at one time, not a lot of interaction because I was with the offense and they were with the defense.
Oh, yeah.
So I would see them guys after practice, or unless we were hitting each other.
Yeah.
But other than that, definitely.
Neither one of those dudes I wanted to hit against. Neither one.
Yeah, no.
Nor you either.
Two good guys. Paluch was Paluch. Paluch is.
He ain't crack.
Paluch is probably still running right now.
What was it like? Obviously on the field you guys weren't interacting, but what was it like off the field? Like, was there a lot of football talk? Were you guys,
No, just a lot of hanging out, a lot of obviously when we're doing film and stuff like that, when it's business, it's business. But when it was our own time, we just spent it just like any other college kids, just hanging out. Spent a lot of time together. Good guys.
Want to be debt-free faster, save money in taxes and insurance, and retire with more wealth? Call Zach Byler of Prosperity Partners Financial Solutions today for full-service financial advisory. 330-219-5225. If you're looking to buy new or sell your current home or commercial property in Northeast Ohio or Northwestern Pennsylvania, look no further than Brokers Realty at brokerssold.com. Top Shelf Bar, 450 wines on hand, and your choice of local craft beers, including Modern Methods Brewery Double IPA, now available at the Station Square Restaurant.
Jim Tressel, big influence, certainly, like you just said, helped you kind of, grow
up.
Yeah. What was that like, man? Because, people pay Tressel a lot of superlative, I can't even say the word. They give Tressel a lot of hype. But what was like really, what's it like to be coached by him? What kind of coach was he? Tony Knapp was like in your face. You'd want to run through walls, like you're saying. Was Coach Tressel the same way? High intensity?
I run through a wall for Coach Tressel. You just didn't want to disappoint Coach Tressel. Coach Tressel, had especially for myself, he had a long string for me, just trying to help me, grow up. To put it bluntly, just grow up and do the things you're supposed to do, be where you're supposed to be, not let people down, all those things. And just remember, his whole thing was remember who you are, remember what you're representing, between the team, between your family and all those things, and don't do anything to sacrifice that. And a lot of us did a lot of things to try to sacrifice that. but he never gave up on any of us, never. And I always appreciate that from him.
Be a brand ambassador for your school and the people you're representing.
No question.
Those things that you learn from those guys we talked about, what are you bringing? What are those pieces that you want to make sure you instill at the Harding job now?
So first and foremost, just following procedures and doing what you're supposed to be doing. That would be something that I want to, engrave into those guys first. So being where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to do. I think if we do that and, with some other things, we can win a couple more football games.
So, you're coming into this, you're coming back. It's like a homecoming. You're coming back home. You're not coming by yourself. In tow, you're bringing young Matty Rich, Matthew Todd, who is a stellar basketball player, just a stellar athlete, and a great kid.
Yes.
How do you, how do I say this? Like, you're coming from a different culture. This is my perception. I could be wrong. It's a different culture in Hoban than it is in Warren. The expectations are different. Of course, Harding was.
The expectations will not be different.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not. We're full throttle. Trying to.
I know these kids are going to work.
Yeah. So the expectation is the same. It's always been the same in Warren, and we're coming with the same energy. We might not get there, but that's the expectation.
So you played at YSU in the Ice Castle, right? Ohio football, hard nose. It's like Rocky and Rocky IV when he's in Siberia and he's training and stuff. And It's like the grittiness, the climbing with all your hands on the ground. How do you bring that to these kids? Like, how are you going to instill that into these if they don't have it already?
Well, most kids from Warren have it in them at some point. The Warren's a tough city, and you got to be tough to grow up here and be around here. And the expectation that's expected around here, I think everybody knows what that expectation is. So we just want to represent that and make people remember when they come to Warren or they play Warren in football.
I always would tell people this is like a silly thing. Like, if we, you might kick my ass, but you gotta know you got in a fight with me.
There's no doubt. You better bring your lunch.
Yeah.
And that is the mentality that I want to bring here. Just that we'll show up. We'll show up. We don't know what's gonna happen, but we'll show up. That's what I want.
Pack your lunch. That sounds like a Tony Knapp, a Lee DiGiacomo, a Marky Powers, a Rick Radich, a Jim Britt.
No question.
You brought up Christopher Guanciale. I throw him in there too. Hard work. Look around you. Are these the guys you want in the foxhole with you?
And let's see what happens.
Yeah.
That's what, so what I've been trying to do is just, it's even just as far as hiring the staff, bringing football pedigree. Guys that are football guys, so I've hired some former assistant or former head coaches to kind of help me out.
Awesome.
And to just have that experience.
Can you say who they are?
Some guys. Now I'm going to wait
I got
for
you.
that just because.
Sure.
Guys that have played, that have college experience, NFL experience, just football pedigree. So it's not going to be a reason of the guys that are around them, that we're not successful. It's going to be because of something else,
How excited are you, and what does it mean that Warren Harding is your first head football coaching job?
I'm very excited. Didn't see it coming. Always wanted it. Didn't see it coming. Sometimes those things happen like that. But now that it's reality, it's work time. It's go time. There's no getting around that. It's just about getting these kids ready to represent the city, and the city needs to come out and represent these kids because it's a three-way street. If this thing's gonna work, I have a lot of people that wanted me to come home, and I'm home. So now I need those guys to step up and for these kids, because it's going to take the kids, it's going to take the community, and it's also going to take the administration. The administration's done their part. They have, a $40 million building over there. There's a lot of things going on over there. It's time for the other two to step up as far as supporting the kids, win or lose, just knowing they're gonna come out there and represent the city, but the fans got to come out and represent the city as well. You go to Massillon and you see 10,000 people in the seats. We need as many people as we can get in this, and we need more than we've had in the stands. Yep, that's for sure.
Well, it's exciting times, and certainly, for a few years, there's always been rumblings, or when there was, so Nicky Francos and, a bunch of guys like Matty Rich, Matty Rich. What has been, what has transpired since you've been announced as the head coach? Who's come out to support you that you were surprised, or
No surprises. Support from everyone. Everyone's support. I laugh and joke and call it the honeymoon period, because right now everybody's happy because they got a one. Well, we'll see what happens when it's, when things ain't going the way they're supposed to go, how we handle that adversity. But, Nicky's been supportive from day one. Bobby Del Moody, all those guys, Frank Calvin, and I know I'm just name dropping a couple names, but there's been plenty of people. There hasn't been anybody that's gave me the side eye and didn't help. It's been everybody, administration, everyone, the coaches that I have in place, because I'm still teaching in Solon. They've been doing a great job helping run the strength program with the strength coach, just being there for the kids. The kids have been doing a great job. They've done everything I've asked them. Everybody's been doing, it's a full support. We just got to have that translate to when the season starts with everyone.
So I don't know if we can talk about it yet, but we were talking about it the other day about, like a football booster or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Should we sell that now?
No. We need, so there's a couple different ones. There's the Gridiron Club, which – we need, the membership is down, that we need to raise back up. And there's multiple reasons because it's down. I mean, you had COVID, you had other things as well, but it's the same thing with the Warren Football Association. We just need to bring everybody to come back outside, join, support those groups that are all groups that are going to support the kids. And then go from there, because like I said, it's going to take everyone for this thing. I remember many games where I could think of that we're not supposed to be in this game, but that crowd carried us through this game, and we got it done.
That's a huge factor,
and
right?
We got to get back to that. It's just, these kids see those stands filled. You can only imagine what they're going to do. They'll run through a wall.
Yeah. Definitely adds a little extra hype when you're on the field.
Oh, no question. No question.
You're coming back again. You're bringing Matt Jr. with you. What's it like coaching high school sports, dealing with parents, especially nowadays? A little different. Like, there's challenges there. I know, because I, coached a few years varsity soccer, and
right.
We had some. You'd have parents thought they knew the game better than you sometimes, and their kids should be doing this. And what's it like being a parent, and now what are the expectations that you're going to be coaching your son?
Right. Technically I coached him last year because he was a freshman.
Oh, that's right.
So, but I was on the varsity staff. My main thing with him is I just stay out of his way and let him be a kid just like everybody else. He knows what the expectation is from me. So what's understood, you don't really have to say much. So I don't really, even last year, I had said very minimal to him on the field. Now I might catch him in the car and say, hey, you might need to do this, you might need to do that. But it's strictly dad-son relationship, off of that.
Is it a chat, I'm only speaking from my experience, right? We were talking ahead of time. I'm coaching my son in soccer now. He's 11, and it's hard to coach your son. At least for me, he's getting better at it, but he's kind of resistant. Like, if I'm coaching from the field, kind of gives me the wave off.
Absolutely.
We get in private, like, hey man, you got to do X, Y, Z or whatever. Mark your guy, whatever it was. But he wants me there. I know he appreciates me there. Is Matt excited that you're going to be his football coach?
He never reveals his the only thing I told him before I took the job is if you don't want, if I take it, you're coming back. If you don't want to come back, I ain't taking it. That's just what I told him, and he's like, "No, I'm fine." He has friends up there that he's really tight with, but he grew up here. A lot of his buddies are here, so I'm sure he won't reveal it, but I'm sure he's excited to play with some of his buddies.
I'm kind of excited to see it, to witness it.
Definitely.
Your wife's a teacher, Janelle. She's one of the sweetest human beings of all time.
My better half.
Yeah, definitely. Your better half, definitely.
I'll kick my coverage.
Yeah, 100%. As did I. She's a former student athlete as well.
Former national champion, former state champion track and field in high school.
Yep.
And junior nationals and stuff, and then ran track at Howard University in college.
And your oldest, Justice Richardson, won state title on the 100 meter.
2015 won it. 2016 won it, but they said she lost it. When I won't even get into that. Then she went to Syracuse and ran for 4 years.
What do you mean they said she lost it?
Well, you remember they didn't do the photo finish. If you remember, the girl she was running against fell at the finish line. They announced Justice as the winner. Then they came back and said, no, she didn't win. The other girl won. So she won her junior year.
Yeah. That was some bullshit. I'll just say it. You
know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But
that was some bullshit.
But so then she ran at Syracuse for 4 years. When she graduated, she ended up having another 2 years eligibility because of COVID. So she went to FAMU and graduated from FAMU.
11.5 in the 100.
She's fast.
She was fast, super fast. Middle daughter, Jayla, she is a writer for the school newspaper, amongst being a competitive dancer. She's a majorette.
And getting ready to go to college.
It makes me feel old just knowing that your kids are that old, and then I look at my son and he's that old too.
Right.
But then then you have Matt, and all student athletes, and we were talking about that earlier about Nap. Nap was adamant about need to get your grades good.
Get your grades good because you're gonna do this longer than you're gonna do this sport.
Right.
That was always his thing.
But you have not only you and not only Janelle. You guys are both national champions. You're both state champions. You've raised a family that has the same work ethic and because talent only gets you so far, right? You could be the most talented human being in the world unless you're willing to put the time in and sharpen those skills. You're only gonna get, you climbing the mountain, you might only get halfway up the mountain with talent.
Right.
If you don't got grit and determination and the ability to work hard and practice and work on those skills day after day after day. So that you're raising the type of kids that because Justice broke her foot and came back from adversity to win the state championship.
Broke her foot in the sophomore year in the final. Broke her foot. Had to rehab the whole next year. Didn't get to run until indoor, the last two meets. Ran the two indoor meets and then ended up winning the state title in 2015, her junior year.
How important, it's maybe easier in the household, but how important is it to instill that type of grit and determination and work ethic into these kids in the program?
That's all I know. So they're gonna have to fall in line. That's the only way I know how to do it.
And it's not something you're just talking about.
Right.
This is something you lived and you have given to your children.
Right.
So it's not like this guy's just all talk.
There's no question. And then, like I said, the people that are around them, the staff, it was important to me to hire guys with that same type of pedigree. I want the kids to be a representative of the guy that's coaching them. So that was important to me with the guys that I hired, and I feel really good about that.
the father and son role that you guys that you will share. You shared last year, but now you're gonna certainly share. As he's getting older, he's gonna be playing varsity. You're the head varsity football coach. How do you approach? Well, this is, I already know the answer to this, but how do you approach this to make sure that you're not? I'm very careful when I'm coaching my son. I don't want to be over. I don't show him any favoritism, but I don't want to be like super hard on him where it's unfair to him.
Right.
How do you make that? How do you keep that balance?
Well, he's going to have a position coach. So, I'm not, I'm going to be the guy overseeing the program. But he's going to have to fall in line with the coaches that he has, to earn his keep. So I don't really see it as much. I treat him just like any other player. It's, is what it is. Fall in line, do what you're supposed to do, and we'll see what you get out of it.
And he's playing wide out?
He's been playing wide. He's a wide receiver, and he's played defensive back. That's what he's been doing, yeah. So I would assume he's probably going to do that unless he shoots up to 225 pounds in the next 6 months.
He get those speed genes from Janelle?
That's all his mom. Yeah.
Well, you weren't slow,
though. I wasn't slow.
No,
I wasn't slow at all.
Yeah.
That's what I laugh at him because I just, he's heavy basketball, but I tell him at some point, we are going to do a little bit of track. I mean, your mom ran track in college. Your sister ran track in college. You should probably play the odds and see what you can do out there.
Well, so that's a great segue into this too, because I know especially these conversations come up, and people are like, oh, well, now your son's in 5th grade, gonna be in 6th grade. Kids are starting to choose what sports they're gonna play. You're a multi-sport athlete. Your son's a multi-sport athlete. What are your feelings on that, man? Like, do we need to be specialized? Or?
I'm all for multi-sport athletes. My only thing is you got to lift. That's my only. any whatever sport you're doing, strength and conditioning at some point becomes a factor. So. I got no problem. Sometimes you learn how to compete in a different sport and then come back to that other sport and you're better. So I'm all for guys doing multi-sports. 3 starts where it starts to get a little bit hard to do 3.
Sure.
But doing multiple, no, you do what you do. Just make sure you're in the weight room.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I always would say, like, I was a decent soccer player, when I started playing football. And I was a decent football player, but when I went back to soccer after playing for Nap and playing
better,
again,
yeah.
I was like far and away.
Right.
It was like, oh man, like I'm used to like getting hit by Urchek, and now I'm bumping shoulders with these guys.
Right.
Are like,
and
oh, this is
just
nothing.
the different movements in other sports.
Yep.
It helps you. No, I'm all for it.
Let's talk about adversity for a minute, because everybody has to overcome adversity in their life. Mm-hmm. You've had some adversity in your life as at a young age. When we were young guys coming up, you lost a girlfriend, Rachel. Mm-hmm. Your brother Todd passed away when we were young guys recently, 4 years ago, and the only reason I remember the dates because my uncle passed a month before your dad. Mm-hmm. How did those things, those losses, shape you, and how do you feel like you'll be able to transition that information to kids? Because some of these kids from Warren, some of them are coming from good homes, and some of them are loving, and some of them maybe not, or they're facing adversity. Like, how do you transition that information to them? How did you get through some of that stuff?
You just learn to, thick skin. Thick skin, the support of others, in that situation. I had a lot of people support me in every situation that I was in that kind of just helped me, overcome and deal with the adversity. I see it the same way, and a lot of lessons that I learned on the field in different things helped me deal with those real life situations, because on the field you go through adversity, and you go through that adversity with your brothers on the field. You kind of tend to, learn to do the same thing when you're dealing with some of those tragedies off the field. But I definitely think it made me appreciate life a little bit more, helped me have thicker skin a little bit more just to handle certain things. And it also helped me, fatherhood and just being a coach, just to be able to support people through adverse situations.
Your dad was like hardworking dude, salt of the earth guy.
Toughest dude I know.
Yeah, for sure. How did that, I'm assuming one of the most influential guys in your life. Who are some others like your dad?
He's number one for sure. Just being on time and just not taking any stuff from anybody. That was two things that I definitely picked up from him.
I'm just remembering the refrigerator story. Yeah.
Definitely. But I've been blessed to have a lot of people in my life influence me like that. I've had uncles that influenced me like that. One of my uncles was one of the guys that helped me through with my brother and my cousin to just make me, thicker skin and be able to handle it and, compete with them, this and stuff. But, I've had uncles, but then, some of my bigger influences, obviously, Coach Knapp, Coach Tressel, Tom McDaniels, Jim McQuaid, Lee DiGiacomo, who coached me from 7th grade all the way through 12th grade, was my position coach, who I'm still tight with, probably talk to once or twice a week to this day. So I've been blessed to have a lot of people, around me to help me out.
We should have called Lee up. We'll call Lee before we leave and invite him up. Yeah, I forgot we should have invited him.
That is my guy.
A little bit of salt in your coffee. Just put a little bit of salt in your coffee.
Dad, a little bit of salt in the coffee. Yeah, absolutely.
And cherry juice.
Yeah.
Some of the best days, obviously the nights were fun, living next door. We'd watch a lot of fights, a lot of football, drink some beer, listen to a lot of rap, talk a lot about music and life and just other stuff. In the daytime, it was always fun seeing your dad in the front yard and just getting like little bits of wisdom, little, pieces of wisdom.
And he was going to give it to you.
He was going to give it to you.
Whether you wanted it or not, he was going to give it to you. And the truth,
he would never sugarcoat things. It was always on the real, so that was cool. How does that hard work and legacy translate into football?
I mean, that's the only way I know. So, being, like I said, my dad was a hard worker. My dad didn't miss a lot of days of work and was always on time. So that's kind of one of those things that I picked up from him at an early age. Just work. He worked a lot of overtime, did a lot of different things he did to provide, for us. So I take the same thing to the football field. We're going to work. They're going to learn work ethic from me by doing the things that we need to do to be successful.
I'm real excited for this upcoming year. Probably more excited than I've been about high school football. I mean, Morrow, he loves high school football. He still goes to the game. You're obviously a head coach.
He's been to a couple of our games.
He tells me, he's like, you want to go? I'm like, oh, man, I got this or that. I think the energy and the enthusiasm and the expectations surrounding what's about to happen is just, there's a lot of it's electric, man. There's just a great feeling about it. I think people are really, it's easy for me to be pumped because we're good friends, but I just feel like a lot of people are really pumped about it. And certainly the outpouring on social media when it was first announced that you were the head coach, man, people that don't know you, but know of you, just feel like, man, there's something special. And so I really feel like we're going to see some great things happen here coming up.
Well, you just know that they're going to work. That's the main thing. Like I said, we're going to work to be that. And like I said, we need the support of everyone. And, that's what it's going to take. these kids, they see those stands filled. Sky's the limit of what you can get out of them.
There's no cakewalk. If you're going to play Harding football, you're not coming to a cakewalk.
Not coming to a cakewalk.
It's going to be hard. You're going to make some sacrifice.
You're going to make some sacrifice, and if nothing else, you're going to, my goal, as Jim McQuaid would say, would be that, if you see nothing else, you're going to see us run and hit. That, everything else take care of itself, but we will run and hit.
Block and tackle. Block and tackle. Block and tackle. That's my nap impersonation. That's for Johnny Richards.
Right.
Let's shift gears for a second. Let's talk about some things that people maybe don't know about Matt Richardson. Let's talk about, as if we're in the Red Room. For those of you who don't know what the Red Room is, that's a secret room, secret space where the meetings of the mind happen somewhere in Warren, Ohio, And we talk about these things in the Red Room. Like the 5, it doesn't have to be limited to 5 because I know there's a lot, but your 5 favorite musical acts.
What genre?
Well, let's open it up first just with music, and then we'll get into who you think are the 5 best favorite/best rappers. But let's just talk musical acts. Could be a group, could be just Prince. Could be Prince and the Revolution, could be,
groups.
Doesn't have to be group, just acts.
Or acts. Prince would be one, definitely. Michael Jackson, George Clinton.
Oh, yeah.
George Clinton.
How many times have you seen George Clinton?
At least 4 times. At least 4 times. Let's see, those 3. Jay-Z, even, it's got to be in there just because, even though it's others. And then let's see, what would be 5? Probably Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just played recently.
They've been around here in the last couple of years.
Yeah. All right, now the real question. Your top 5 rappers, who are they? Obviously, we already know Jay-Z is up there.
Jay-Z would be one.
Let me get a little bit granular on this question though. Jay-Z pre the Blueprint, overall.
Yeah,
last couple albums?
There's growth,
Okay.
You grow up, there's growth to it. So absolutely. He's
What's your favorite Jay-Z album?
Oh, the first album.
Okay.
Yeah, the first album. Reasonable Doubt.
Reasonable
Doubt.
What about the Black Album?
Oh, the Black Album's one of the Black Album, that album, and then the Blueprint.
Yeah.
Those would be 3 for me, for sure.
All right, so Jay-Z at the top, and then
Tupac would be there.
There's
no order, but
Tupac
would
top
be
5.
there. Scarface.
Really?
There. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's one of my MCs. Outkast, Andre 3000.
Yeah.
Would be there, and then probably Ice Cube.
I was hoping he was going to make the list.
Yeah, definitely. Probably Ice Cube. Now, favorites. Now, you can break it down into other categories where I have other guys, but those would be my favorites.
How about groups?
Groups, it starts with Public Enemy.
Okay.
No question.
Public Enemy's above NWA.
Public Enemy is number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, Public Enemy. NWA would be in there, group-wise. Wu-Tang Clan
the Wu gotta
would
be
in
there.
Yeah. Tribe Called Quest would be in there.
Nice.
And then group-wise. So when we say group, we talking 2 people? Are we talking more than?
Yeah, it could be Outkast. I mean, you could Outkast.
Outkast. It would probably Run DMC.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Probably Run DMC.
Right.
There's always more than 5.
Yeah. We've had these conversations multiple times with Dre, Lawan, and your cousin, and
Steve.
Steve.
Janelle.
Right. Yeah. Right. So I wanted to have a little bit of that on the show to kind of give people a little insight. How about football players? Your top 5 football players? Not favorite. They don't have to be the best, or just your guys.
I mean, Lawrence Taylor, Deion Sanders, Randall Cunningham.
I was just gonna. I know he's
my favorite quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
So Randall Cunningham would be there for me. Bo Jackson. I was definitely a Bo Jackson fan. And then, fifth, let me see. Got to go back to when I was a kid, just thinking of who would be next. Probably Barry Sanders.
For sure.
Yeah, probably Barry Sanders.
So here's the question. Emmett or Barry?
Barry.
Barry or Bo?
Healthy? Bo.
Oh, yeah.
Healthy.
Well, healthy. I mean,
Healthy Bo.
I don't know if you could put anybody above Bo.
Yeah, healthy Bo.
I always have a soft spot for Barry because he's little, or, littler like me, and
Right.
he was more ballerina-esque.
Phenomenal.
But Bo could just run you over or outrun you.
Him and Deion Sanders, two of the greatest athletes of all time.
For sure.
I mean, anybody that can hit a home run and then go rush for 200 yards. I mean, pretty good athletes.
Pretty good stuff. Favorite team of of an era. Football, not,
Favorite football team of an era. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard because I'm a Browns fan.
I know.
Favorite football team of an era. I would have to, the way the Patriots, being a coach, the way the Patriots operate, Bill Belichick, I would, that would be someone that I would admire from a distance. I wouldn't say favorite, but just admire how they operate.
You could appreciate the art form.
Definitely.
Sure. Boxers, because we always talk about fights and watch fights. Your 5 favorite fighters?
Ernie Shavers, related to Ernie Shavers.
Boom.
So Ernie Shavers
The
would be
Acorn, Braceville.
First and foremost, Ernie Shavers. Mike Tyson's one of my favorites. Roy Jones, big Roy Jones fan. Mayweather, respect the art of what he does,
For sure.
obviously. And then probably Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah.
But I go, that era, there's so many
Hagler?
different. I was going to say there's so many Hagler.
Hard not
Hearns,
to put Hagler
like
in there.
those. There's
Yeah.
a lot of different, that whole era of boxing,
I just read this the other day. Mayweather said he invented the Philly shell. It wasn't the Philly shell, but it was his Philly shell. You think that's true?
I would probably say that's inaccurate.
I would say it's inaccurate too.
But he's
No,
phenomenal.
he's
But
phenomenal. There's no hard. And early on, see, I think what happened was once he became, remember he was Pretty Boy, right? When he was Pretty Boy and coming up in the ranks, he'd smoke dudes,
Yeah, but then he got smart.
and then he got smart.
Yeah, so, but
And then he took on the persona of kind of Money Mayweather, and people started to not like him. I was one of those people. I didn't like his persona. I didn't like the clinching and the.
But you miss it now.
Oh yeah.
because
Well, now it's
not-
it's terrible.
Yeah, it's not
the
the same.
state of boxing is terrible. Do you think because Mike Tyson not always had, but had problems? Of course, he didn't have problems. Who was that 6'5" dude he fought early on?
Yeah.
The dude with the long hair. They fought in the street, and then
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name. Anyways, but he had problems with Lennox Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Tyson in his prime, or Tyson Fury in his prime?
Oh, I'm taking Tyson in his prime.
100%.
Tyson in his prime. If Tyson doesn't have that pause, who knows what happens with Tyson?
Maybe unstoppable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does he beat Evander Holyfield?
I think the layoff hurt him.
Yeah.
So just the inactivities, but I think if had he been able to continue to do what he was doing, I think he runs through all of them.
Evander Holyfield doesn't get the credit he deserves.
No, he doesn't, but Evander was a little bit bigger when they finally fought.
That's
If
true.
They fought at the time.
Well, Evander was a cruiserweight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but
He's
if they-
probably the greatest cruiserweight ever.
Right. But if they fought at the time when Tyson was at his height, Tyson wins.
I think so too. Who's going to win this Jake Paul is it Logan Paul? Jake Paul. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight in July.
It depends on how many rounds it is.
Yeah, we were talking about this and how big the ring is.
And how big the ring is. If it's a small ring, Paul's in trouble.
Yeah, I hope it's a small ring, and I hope it's a 3-round fight.
Because if you've seen Tyson throwing punches on social media, if you're in front of him, you're in trouble.
Kelly Pavick said the last thing you lose is the power. You lose the speed, you might lose the agility. But I got to think, man, over all that time, his ring generalship, somebody was on social media saying, well, Jake Paul, he'll probably run. I said, yeah, but Mike Tyson is a trained boxer. Jake Paul is give him respect. Yeah. He's an athlete, and he's competed. He's knocked out an NBA guy, and big deal. And, he knocked out Woodley and whatever. Mike Tyson cut the ring off and then knock your head off.
I just wouldn't. I wouldn't mess with Mike. That's just not one I would want to mess around with. And then you see, I know he's older, but the success that George Foreman had when he competed at an older age.
Big difference, though. Tyson's like pushing 60. He's going to be 58, or he is 58. George Foreman was 41.
When he started, but when he finished, though, he was in his 50s, right?
I think he was close to 50. That makes me feel like
young.
Well, it makes me feel like maybe there's still a shot, as we get close to 50. You're going to be 49 this year?
49 in December.
Yeah. We got 1 year left to just hang on to those 40s as long as we can. Gonna be hard. But you will be the head football coach and hopefully playing into the winter time, because playoff football is cold football.
Always the expectation. You want to be playing when the snow hits the ground.
Yeah.
You want to be playing that weekend of Thanksgiving.
When is the first game? When's the first home game for Harding?
The first home game is the second week of the season. We play Akron Brookville. We open up the season on Thursday night in August. I can't think of the date, but we open up at McKinley at the Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah?
Yes. Open up at the Hall of Fame at McKinley.
And then the next weekend
would be our home opener versus Akron Brookville.
You guys check it out on social media. But this is a shout out to anybody that's listening to the show. Sonia Waite, anybody that's out of town that knows us, that knows Matt, or is just a football fan from way back, a Harding fan from way back. Please come to the game. Wear your Harding gear.
Support these kids.
Man, because really, obviously there's deep tradition. Matt Richardson is here to add to that tradition. What do you hope to add to the tradition?
I just want to piggyback on the tradition. The tradition is winning, all right, and competing at a high level. And, like I said, when people come to the city, they know they came to the city because, we let them feel it on the field. We want to do that everywhere.
And then make sure when you're done at the game, you head over to the BV, you head over to all the places that Warren has to offer, which is a lot now.
Pre-game and post-game.
And post-game.
A lot of places, cool places to hang out.
Definitely. Well, we're going to go hang out now after the show. I got a pass from the boss, as Matt would call her, and Matt hopefully has a pass as well from Janelle.
She is the boss.
Yeah. I got that dog, right?
Renee is my yard buddy, so, we both handled the duties of cutting the grass.
Yeah, she cut it like a few times.
So we would talk about that
man.
A lot.
Yeah.
We would shovel snow together, so that's my yard buddy.
Yeah. Mike O'Brien would say, Fogarty, you're smart. You married this Greek girl. She's out there cutting the grass. Right. I said, well, man, that's how she gets her workout, man.
Right. For sure.
Yeah, that's funny stuff. Matt Richardson, thank you for coming on the show.
Appreciate
you. Love you. I am very excited for this upcoming football season, man.
Go Raiders.
Go Raiders. Let's go. Folks, until the next time, stay electrified. Be kind to one another. Show love. You can check out the podcast on theprodcast.net. Follow us on social media. We'll check in the next episode. Let's make sure we show out on the opening day at the Mollenkoff Stadium for Matt Richardson.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks, Matt.